Okay, our next speaker, which really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyway. Julie Meir will be talking about leveraging 1383 and climate action planning to create a wasteless community. As Associate Director of Zero Waste Systems at Stanford University, Julie oversees waste operations and leads the development of zero waste strategies. The climate action plan. Okay. And the implementation of zero waste plan to meet the university's goals of zero waste by 2030. She enjoys using her 30 years of experience in the waste industry to work with students and the campus community on waste reduction and educating on the connection between zero waste, sustainable materials management, the circular economy, and climate change. Welcome, Julie. Yay!
Let me see my presentation. That's USC colors. That's not acceptable. And please don't put Cal colors up there. See if we get my presentation coming up. Thanks everyone. This has just been an amazing day of amazing speakers, just so many great ideas. We're getting there. All right, getting closer. We are almost to the end, so hang in there. So for some of you that don't know about the university across the bay, Stanford University is located on 8,180 acres of land. We have about 600 buildings and 36,000 people on campus. Let's see if we can. I'm hitting the blue button. Something's not happening there. That's supposed to say zero waste and climate action. So at Stanford, let's see. Okay. Okay. Should I do a song and dance? I didn't bring any tricks. Yes, please, go ahead, make announcements.
I'm going to make end of day announcements. So we first have to say thank you to the admin team. Yay! Do that, yay! Yay! Green Drinks location, make a note of this, is at 2367 Shattuck. It's a 10-minute walk, says the internet. Are we up? Okay. And then we're going to send you a survey via email, and I really, really want your feedback. Seriously, we do. Like, it's a big deal. Connect with NCRA on LinkedIn because they post jobs. I think I mentioned that earlier. That's how you find the job and keep the job, that whole thing. So then, and the first 100 or 150 people get a free drink if you show up. So don't bolt out the door because we still have really important people to talk to you, but you can't leave until you've heard John Katz speak. So we'll ask for you, like to ask you, tell me John Katz's email address, and that'll be the way to get in and get your free drink, okay? How are we doing, Todd? Oh, almost. All right, good? I forgot one thing. There's a tour next week of a landfill. If you haven't been on a tour of a landfill, you're really not living. And in fact, you may not be allowed to be a member of NCRA because you have to tour all these facilities in order to understand what we're talking about. So there's a tour at the Yolo County landfill. Probably somebody knows where Yolo County is. I think I know. But so there's a QR code on the NCRA website. And so go sign up and go to it because they're pretty fascinating. I don't know if you haven't seen a tipper truck, those tippers lift up the whole truck. You're like, no. So seriously, if you haven't been on a tour of a landfill, I guess, Todd, can we swap?
Julie, are you coming back? Okay. Julie's coming back.
Okay, I'm going to wing this, do it all the time, so that's great. So as I was saying, at Stanford, and this is a horrible representation, but like we have a vision to establish a wasteless community that advances zero waste culture and waste justice. So today I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about how we're leveraging climate action planning that we're in the process of doing and SB 1383 to achieve this goal. Next slide. Often waste is not represented in climate action plans as a solution. So by incorporating zero waste in our climate action plan this year, we are not only elevating the importance of zero waste solutions, but we're cementing procurement, waste reduction, reuse, recycling, and composting as key strategies to address climate change that needs to be adequately funded. We've seen a lot of great ideas out there today, and a lot of times it comes back to how are we going to pay for that. So through a climate action planning process, we can evaluate that and find funding for these kinds of projects. So our climate action plan, let's go to the next slide. Go down one more. Here's this pillars one. Our climate action planning process includes 16 different working groups across the campus. One of them is waste, but we also have procurement, we have food, we have resilience, we have lots of other different ones, but the ones that are most important here are the waste, procurement, and food, and there's lots of overlap. We have 3 pillars that we're looking at: mitigation, adaptation, and resilience, and then 3 lenses which to look at those pillars is through climate justice, higher education, and our own university mission and community engagement. Next slide. So how does that relate to waste? So when we're looking at, and this is kind of like how to learn how to speak climate action from the waste world, we have to like cross-reference ourselves. So under mitigation, we're looking to reduce sources of greenhouse gas emissions and enhance the sinks of greenhouse gas emissions and carbon sequestration. And we do that through demonstrating how waste reduction, reuse, more recycling and composting, and procurement programs. Under adaptation, yes, stay right there. It's like I said, it doesn't look good. Adaptation, I think this is a really interesting one because we're looking at how do we adjust to extreme weather. And I think that comes down to our collectors, the people who collect our waste. How are they going to collect waste in extreme weather? A lot of garbage trucks don't have air conditioning, for example. So we have to kind of keep that in mind as our climate fluctuates, and how are they going to be protected? How are the facilities going to deal with climate change as well? And then lastly, under resiliency, we need to prepare for waste that comes from climate disasters. We've done some of that work in our disaster planning process, but this might look a little bit different, and we need to look at that. So as part of this process, we are reviewing and analyzing the zero waste strategies in existing climate action plans and other documents to determine what the top strategies are. What are people thinking they are? So this slide coming up through here shows our extensive kind of research process that we have our interns working on to kind of come up with the top ones that we might consider. The next slide, oh boy, that's bad. Not surprisingly, the focus is on waste reduction. Everything we've talked about today, I mean, everything turns back to more reuse programs, more vendor contracts that include responsibility for waste, more improving waste data tracking and reporting. So we're looking at how we're going to adapt all of those strategies to our campus needs while also developing unique strategies to for our own community. And in each strategy that we put in the climate action plan, we have to identify how much it's going to cost to implement it, and the impact on greenhouse gas emissions, and that will help us evaluate what rises to the top and what we can do at Stanford. One of the really interesting pieces of work, let's go to the next slide, that I really wish had a really good picture, and it might, keep going, this waste justice, terrible. Okay, so we are also incorporating waste justice in our climate action planning. So we all know that waste we generate not only poses risks to the environment, but also to people. Let's see, waste justice, in our definition of waste justice, it recognizes that waste facilities are often disproportionately located in low-income neighborhoods and communities of color and can impart adverse impacts on the environment and health of those communities. So one of the things, this one might work out okay, let's go to the next one, how we're going to reach zero waste, including waste justice, is looking at asking questions of ourselves. If we're wasting and this waste is going outside of our community, we have a responsibility to that waste. And so how do we react to that? How do we respond to that? So some of the questions that we're asking ourselves, and I don't know the complete answer yet, but we're going through this process to ask ourselves about how is our waste impacting surrounding communities? Which waste streams or facilities are having the largest impact? How do we minimize or mitigate those impacts? How do we support them in their resiliency in that community? And what levers do we control? Because as a university or as a business, you do have levers that you can control, and you have to just decide if you want to control those levers. So we're kind of asking ourselves these questions and going through a very public process on the campus to get there. We're even asking ourselves in the next slide if single-use plastics, if the use of single-use plastics is a waste justice issue because of where it ends up. So we are taking this time to do that. So we're pretty excited about this climate action process and the access that it's giving us to the university, leadership, and potentially to budget. Next, I'm going to switch to SB 1383. We've been able to leverage this law to upgrade our whole waste system on campus. We knew waste infrastructure changes were needed because of our last waste characterization study that showed that even of all the efforts, we have almost a 40-year-old program on campus, still 62% of the waste going to landfill, not unlike what you said, Jack. There's still a lot of recyclables and organics in the trash. And why is that? So we built a new system. So let's go. Okay, you're close. You're good. Great. We took this opportunity to just change the whole system. We designed a new waste collection system on campus in each of our buildings, which is roughly 600 of them, that dealt with all the inconsistencies we've found over the last 25 years. We've changed the how, the when, the who, the what was collected. And when we did this, our pilot study showed that we increased diversion 29 to 44% in each of our buildings that we piloted in, so we knew that we were headed in the right direction. In addition to ensuring everyone had access to recycling and composting, another thing that we've done, and I know some cities have done this, but it's a pretty big deal for Stanford to do this, and that is to move to centralized waste collection. So removing desk side service to the desk. This is hugely impactful. How many people have ever taken away someone's trash can at their desk? Yeah, it's dangerous work. It's very, very dangerous work. So this has been a huge change management effort on the campus that has given us an opportunity to study the motivation. So not only did we do it, we took time to do surveying to find out what are people's motivations. We did a pre and post survey. We've done 220 buildings out of roughly 300 academic buildings. And from this, what we found, let's continue down here. There's our cute little study. Our study found that actually one of the best ways that we can promote this program is to promote the amount of steps that people get by taking their stuff to the centralized waste collection. Hey, whatever works is what works, right? So rather than talking about the environment and how great this is, they don't want to hear that. They just want to know that they get more steps by taking their recyclables, their compost, whatever. I'm okay. I'm neutral. So we got them to do that. So by surveying people and spending that time, that extra time, figuring out what motivates people, we're able to create better outreach and communication guides to find ways to have less friction and more support and build culture. And by tracking those numbers, continue on here, we have seen dramatic increases in diversion rates. So in our graduate school of business and our athletics department, in particular, our athletics department, was no surprise, they liked the exercise. So that was really good to know. But so did our graduate school of business, and we were able to greatly increase their recycling rates. So universities play a unique role as living labs to test out solutions that solve operational challenges, drive sustainability and innovation, and develop the next generation of leaders to impact system changes locally and globally. So let's continue down there. At Stanford, our hope is to create solutions that can be replicated and scaled across communities to establish zero-waste systems that inspire culture change. And we talked a little bit more about that today. And we do this by leveraging data, developing standards, and incorporating behavior change principles, and leveraging technology. So we make data-driven decisions all the time. That's really the only decisions we seem to make at Stanford. So for example, we include monthly waste audits as part of our waste service provider contract with PSSI to identify opportunities for waste reduction in a building, understand that culture of that building, what's happening there. We've also developed here showing our new standards for interior collection for buildings. We introduced a color bag system to help our custodians and the perception of our custodians. We want to protect them. A lot of people think that they dump things in the wrong bin, but this color bag system actually protects them and helps them understand that this blue bag is going to go in the blue dumpster. Continuing on, speaking of we educate our 16,000 students we've developed a mandatory training for all of our new students on how to sort properly, and creating this new norm on campus. And then speaking of norms, one of, I think, our secret sauces at Stanford is that we have hired a social scientist in our Office of Sustainability to really help us understand behavior. It's not just great outreach and communication, it's understanding what are the motivations, how do we affect change. And we've done that, and we've partnered with our Graduate School of Business, continue on here, to better understand motivation. And I hope to come back and give you a study that shows we're studying like what motivates people, this next slide right here, on like individual versus collective, environment versus other factors. What is the secret sauce on getting people to change their behavior? And we're doing that study with the Graduate School of Business and graduate students to find that out. And then lastly, we're leveraging technology to inspect our infrastructure. The energy people inspect their transmission lines. The water people inspect their water lines. So zero waste people, we have to inspect our infrastructure, which is bins, signage, the behavior of people, and we need technology to help us do that, and we're doing it. So lastly, in the last slide here, by using data, standards, social science, and technology, we begin to determine which of the various intervention points we should focus on for the various challenges we face. So creating a wasteless community is about culture change. How do we create that zero waste culture? We have used SB 1383 as that kind of motivator to get us going, strengthen our waste system, and having people take personal responsibility for the waste that they generate, and using the climate action planning process to elevate zero waste strategies to get leadership and campus support for waste reduction and reuse initiatives. And if you want to see the real slide, email me and I will send you the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Are there questions for Julie? Raise your hand. I can't see anything.
I can't either. Okay.
Oh, down here on the left. Someone, Nama, Mike.
Thank you, Julie, for your awesome presentation, even if the visuals were hard to follow. So I wanted to ask about the different colored bags that you guys are using, and just trying to better understand, is that something that you're trying to connect with the user or with the custodial staff? What kind of benefits have you seen since transitioning into that? Because I work for the city of San Jose, and we're looking at some changes in our city facilities.
It's been amazing. It's actually kind of everyone. The colored bag gives confidence to the people in the building that the material is going to be handled correctly. It's telling them, you put the effort into sorting, this bag is going to end up in the correct bin at the end of the day. Again, for the custodians, it's protecting them. People keep complaining that they're not doing this, they're not doing that. They are doing a great job, but people are perceiving it differently. And this way, with a bag system, it goes to the right place. It gives them the symbol, the signal that this blue bag is going to go in the blue dumpster, the green bag is going to go in the green dumpster. And lastly, we use technology where we take pictures of every dumpster before we empty it, and we can see when the blue bag is in the landfill dumpster or in the compost dumpster or vice versa, and we can stop that immediately. So the color bag system really kind of just goes all the way through, and it's just really been really impactful for us.
Okay, that's it for questions. You can find Julie at Green Drinks, right?
Yes.
Okay, Julie will be at Green Drinks. You can find her there. All right, thank you. Thank you for dealing with us and the technical difficulties.